Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, it is lucky number 13, actually.
Ooh.
We are here. It is week 13, my friend. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Happy Dan Marino week to all who celebrate. He was the first number 13 that came to mind. I don't know. I'm sure there are a million others that are noteworthy, but I guess Pitt is playing back-to-back weeks to Dan Marino. Is he not a favorite son of the Pitt Panthers?
And Miami Dolphins, yeah. So there's
And
a
Miami
little bit
Dolphins.
of connective tissue, yeah.
This is, whoa, I didn't even, Ty, look at us. Look at us. Pitt, Miami, ACC happening soon. Okay. I'm very excited that it's week 13. I love the penultimates of basically everything because we are always looking forward to that huge rivalry week. You know, Thanksgiving weekend is as college football as it gets, but there is something special. Not that it's a look ahead week specifically, but there is something special about the setting of the table where I think people underestimate, myself included, perhaps underestimate the possibility, the potential for chaos ahead of the perceived chaos weekend. So we see it with TV shows. We've mentioned it before that it's always that 9th out of 10th episode. It's always that 21st of 22 where things get a little bit too electric. And I'm looking forward to the potential of that happening this weekend.
Welcome back, one and all. Thank you for joining us here in the Verballerhood. If you've made it this far without dry heaving, without deciding that you've heard too much already, hit follow, hit subscribe so that you do not miss any of our episodes. Of course, Verballers.com is where you can go if you want to help support the cause here by signing up as a certified or premium tier Verballer. In addition to the bonus content, the ad-free episodes, and the Discord access, you can also play in Run the Board, which is our weekly pick'em game. You pick 12 games against the spread. You compete for fabulous prizes. This week, a $150 gift card to Fanatics is on the line. And if I could, since we are in the penultimate week of the regular season, let me just offer a bit of a tease, if I can do that, something we do here on the show.
Please.
We have something in the queue as the prize for week 14 that we have never done before. And I am honestly still a little bit torn over. But it is going to be a very, very big deal for people who like and listen to this show and want to support the team.
Unless
you don't like competing, okay?
Unless you're afraid to compete. I get that. Some people are like, I don't want to put basically no money where my mouth is to win big money.
I am not casting any aspersions. I'm just saying, week 14, we've got a little something special that we are working on. So yes. Verballers.com or patreon.com/solidverbal. Both will take you to the same place. If you want to go and sign up to support what we do and play in the game, of course, we would love to have you, Dan. How do we feel about week 13 thematically? You know, penultimate.
Sure.
There's a lot going on. It is a bit of a table setter for what I think will be a gigantic week 14, but it is these quiet ones from time to time that tend to jump up and get you.
Yes, it absolutely is. And we're going to mention momentarily, the newest college football playoff rankings have come out. So we kind of had an idea vaguely, because it changes by the week, if not by the day, of how the members of the playoff committee are thinking about things nationally with regard to the playoff. But we're seeing some order come together, at least a little bit, which helps us as we get into these last couple weeks determine what's an upset, what do teams need, what do teams not need, what do teams need from other teams. And so we have an idea of where the upsets may or may not lie. Or so we think, Ty. This is basically the look-ahead week of the season, right?
Yeah.
Everybody sits down. If you couldn't interpret the lyrics to that brilliant song by the Concrete Kids, if you're sitting down to just go to the bathroom, maybe scroll, maybe doom scroll, maybe look at TikTok, whatever, what's the last thing you're expecting, Ty?
The last thing you're expecting is to be bit in the butt by a snake.
Snake emerging from the toilet. And there is something about the emerging of somebody this week, Ty, or somebody's this week, that I can't escape. This is a snake in the toilet Saturday. You didn't think we were going to get to week 13 without having a snake in the toilet Saturday. And you look at this schedule, A lot of big double-digit numbers. Texas over Arkansas, Vandy over Kentucky, Utah over Kansas State. A lot of big Oregon getting double digits against a good USC team. Oklahoma in a letdown spot giving 9.5, against Mizzou.
I think that's down now. Yeah, we've had some line movement, which we'll talk about.
We've had movement, but I'm saying that's the thought process, that these teams are big favorites. And if I said getting instead of giving there, I apologize. I was trying to indicate potential big upsets there. So there's something about the line movement. And then also, it's SoCon Saturday for some of these teams as well in the SEC. I sort of alluded to one specific pick. We'll get into it later in the show. But I think there are some snakes out there, Ty. Especially like you look at teams that are maybe well-positioned from the G5 ranks to get to the playoff. There might not be easy sitting for them, right?
Man, I'm never going to live down some of the emails that we got in response to the snake in the toilet Saturday we did a year ago, when people sent us pictures quite literally of snakes that have been in their toilets, and I can never use the facilities in comfort again. I'm sorry. I can't.
Ty has weekly plumbing sweeps at his house. Just little sonar tests, whatever is needed to make sure there's nothing slithering. James Madison, favored by almost 2 touchdowns-ish against Wazoo.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a chaos program more charming than the Washington State Cougars? I think not.
I think not.
So,
I
don't know, man. I feel like I'm seeing some slithering. I'm seeing some coiling. I'm seeing some boa constricting.
And hopefully, if you're one of the favored teams, you're not feeling that bite. Come on up and get you. We will talk through that and much more in just a little bit. Of course, before we go any further, Dan Rubenstein.
Yes.
We would be remiss to not talk about the news of the week.
The coaching
carousel.
The roar is because we've got a hire, and it was a big one. It was rumored for a while, of course. James Franklin. Some of us in this broadcasting duo know James Franklin a little bit better than others, but James Franklin was rumored to a bunch of different positions, from Arkansas to the unopening. Is that even a word? I don't know. The current non-opening at Florida State.
Oh, right. Sure.
To, of course, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech reeled him in. They got their guy. James Franklin, I believe, on a 5-year contract, just gave his introductory presser not too long ago.
How was it?
I mean, he said a lot of stuff that got Virginia Tech people fired up.
Good.
And why not? Virginia Tech wanted this guy. They made a move for this guy. Virginia Tech has obviously, in advance of reeling in James Franklin, announced that there is going to be renewed commitment to the football program in the name of something like $229 million, whatever it is.
Great.
An injection of new funds into the football program. So James Franklin is taking over a program that was previously headed up by one of his assistants, Brent Pry. James Franklin is taking over a program that is very much in the footprint, the recruiting footprint of where he was very active and very successful over the years while up at Penn State. This is a very, very, very big deal, in my opinion, for Virginia Tech. Dan, how do you feel about this?
I think largely good. There is still part of me that says, man, this dude was like awake 20 hours a day figuring out how to get Penn State to a national championship in early October. And ahead of Thanksgiving, he's doing an introductory press conference for another major program.
It's wild, right? Totally wild.
I can't think of a specific example that aligns with this. And it's obviously a different time with a different schedule with the early signing period and the portal. And, you got to get things going as quickly as possible. Penn State wanted to jump on the process when they realized he wasn't going to be the long-term answer. Virginia Tech wanted to jump on the process when they realized Brent Pry wasn't going to be the long-term answer. But there is something very striking about, like, is this when you want to hire James Franklin? Like, are you getting the best of James Franklin this quickly after the dissolution of his previous relationship? And so that to me is cause for pause, or favorite pet charity, that, man, I know all these guys are kind of full of it to whatever extent, but He was recruiting for Penn State not that long ago. And now he's just changing hats and be like, actually, guys. And I know that happens in the winter as well.
It's real weird.
Mid-season.
It's real weird. For me as a Penn Stater, somebody who follows Penn State, it's real weird. It feels
I think
very strange.
I think a lot of the conversation is like on the surface, like this guy's recruited really well. He's won big and now he's going to an easier conference. He's in an area where he's recruited before. Like there's a lot of smooth transition conversations happening when I'm just not so sure this is the moment you want to hire James Franklin. Like, let him do Big Noon Saturday for a year and then hire him, right? Like, let him get some rest. Let him figure out what he wants to do with his life. And I know you got to strike when the iron's hot, whatever. But that's the thing that sort of would keep me up if I were a Virginia Tech fan a little bit. And you should be happy if you're a Virginia Tech fan.
I was going to say, what you're describing here is more Dan speak than I think it is on behalf of the Virginia Tech fandom. Because
I'm not speaking on like you should be happy if you're a Virginia Tech fan because the upside is obvious. I'm just saying, is this the right direction of James Franklin's moment, right? It's heading nothing but downward since late September. And then there's Virginia Tech ready to get him on his feet, get him all cleaned up. I don't know. I don't know if Virginia Tech's the place that is known to do that.
Well, listen.
Yeah.
He's going to come in there. He's going to build it in his image, and he's going to do a good job. There is no chance he is doing any worse than any of his predecessors, right? I am speaking specifically of Brent Pry and Justin Fuente. He will do better than both those guys because he's a better coach than both of those guys. What Virginia Tech needs in this moment is a program builder, somebody who could step in, reboot the program, tear it down to the studs, and inject this thing with a ton of talent. They're already doing what they think they need to do on the financial side to bring this thing up to speed. James Franklin is going to come in. He's going to give it order. He's definitely going to give it a purpose and a really strong philosophy. Sure. And I think in addition to all of that, versus his previous stops at Vanderbilt, at Penn State, when the rules were different when he got there, he has an opportunity to now come into Virginia Tech and make a move very quickly to reboot that program. It may not take 3 years the way it takes or the way it took at previous stops. Sure. It might be more immediate because the ACC is gettable. The schedule next year is very gettable for Virginia Tech. And we're already seeing something of an exodus of some of the recruits up at Penn State who have now switched commitment to maybe consider Virginia Tech. So I think this is going to be very quick. I think it's going to be a very sudden transition, and it definitely feels weird for me. Like, I kind of feel sad about all of this because I didn't dislike James Franklin as a person. I definitely thought there was a moment, and obviously Penn State thought this as well, where the relationship had run its course, it had plateaued, and it was probably best for all parties to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I'm not a little bit sad about this. And it also doesn't mean that I don't think Virginia Tech got an absolute slam dunk of a hire. I think they did a great job here getting their guy.
It has a little bit of a whiff of Brian Kelly to LSU. It was time, hit a ceiling. Now, obviously, the expectation, the reason Brian Kelly left on his own accord is because he felt like he could win on a higher level than what he was able to do at Notre Dame at LSU.
But listen, BK was not likable. He was not likable. The reason that move was so shocking was not because it was Brian Kelly, this magnetic figure that everybody reveres. It was because, what is Notre Dame going to do for a coach now?
Yeah.
Because people didn't see that coming. But that was the shock involved with that move. This one, I think, is completely different. James Franklin was not the type of guy who was almost hated to an extent the way that Brian Kelly was, right? People didn't like Brian Kelly. A lot of people like James Franklin. They did.
The student section at the end of his time at Penn State was
where's my
unanimously chanting for him to get fired.
Where's my sound? I just think it's different. I think they're different characters altogether. And James Franklin definitely had more of a fan base than Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly had the fan base because he won. James Franklin had that fan base too, but I don't think there were a lot of people out there who thought James Franklin was kind of like all around a bad guy.
Okay. I'm just saying, put a bookmark in this episode.
Okay.
When something doesn't go exactly what you're thinking, like you just played the sound effect, right? Thinking about a super successful coach who, the ACC is gettable. What's North Carolina's record right now?
I don't know. They're like 2 wins, 3 wins.
Yeah, I'm just saying, easier said than done. I'd rather have a coach ascending than descending right now. And if you're going to invest $200+ million, you're not expected to go 8-4. You're just not.
Well,
and so
they're going to give him some time. They have to give him some time.
They're going to give him time, and they should.
A gigantic hire for Virginia Tech, and I think it was a good move. I give them a lot of credit for moving quickly to get out of the coaching market as quickly as possible, because for the teams that are still in it, Penn State included, it's getting very weird. Look no further than what's going on right now with Lane Kiffin, which is the other thing that I wanted to bring up as part of our little coaching carousel discussion here. I promise we will talk about the playoffs and the rankings and the brackets, and of course we're going to pick a bunch of games here, but we do need to mention what's going on with Lane Kiffin. So Lane Kiffin, obviously a candidate at both Florida and LSU. By all accounts, it seems as if he is considering his options. Ole Miss is also considering their options and has issued. Now, Lane came out and sort of denied this, but there has been plenty of other reporting out there to say that maybe there's something to it. I don't know if there is or isn't. All I know is there's a possibility that Ole Miss has gone out there and has issued something of an ultimatum for Lane Kiffin to let him know what the hell he plans on doing. Are you going to take a job or are you not going to take a job? Please let us know before the Egg Bowl, or certainly around the Egg Bowl. That would be nice to know so that we can figure out what we want to do. I don't know what happens one way or another. I don't know if they would kick him out and say, you can't coach the playoffs. Sorry, if you're taking another job, we're going to move in a different direction. I don't know if they would go to those extremes, but it seems like there's a lot of weirdness going on right now with Lane Kiffin, guys hiding out in bushes at LSU outside the Baton Rouge airport in camo to get pictures of Lane Kiffin in a private jet. Like all the normal weirdness that you would expect this time of year is very much on the table right now with Lane Kiffin, as it seems, as we discussed on the last episode, he is sort of like the big coaching domino. He's the big one that everybody's watching. If he decides to stay put or move on, that is going to dictate a lot of which direction the rest of this goes.
I mean, I'm personally watching Bob Chesney, but I guess that's neither here nor there. Yes, you're right. And I think there is probably a hazy area between direct request and ultimatum that, they can say something like, hey, this is when we'd like to know by. We want to give you all the time in the world to figure out if you're still happy enough here to politely decline potential offers from other SEC programs.
Right. And by the way, even though he denied it, I'm sure the other people aren't just making this up. It doesn't just happen that this becomes a story. I'm sure there is definitely some grain of truth to it, whether or not, it is semantically perfect.
And there's reporting that his family visited places like Baton Rouge and Gainesville to sort of do their due diligence. It's pretty wild that, the program futures of Florida, Ole Miss, and LSU all hinge on Lane Kiffin, and it's sort of an impossible position for him. If he is of the mind to say, I would be doing myself a disservice to not consider everything before making a decision. And he's been very clear about it's doing a disservice to our players for how hard they've been playing to say something. I'm just, living in the joy that is coaching Ole Miss, and I love it here. There's no real way to phrase things unless he's dead set on staying at Ole Miss and saying, if Ole Miss will have me, I'll stay here for as long as I can. But, things change. So saying something like that can be disingenuous as well.
If he's touring, he's probably considering it.
Sure, he considered Auburn a couple years ago. Yeah,
he's not dead set and determined to stay at Ole Miss if he's hopping in private jets and going to Gainesville or going to Baton Rouge. So he's at least entertaining it. And look, it's his prerogative if he wants to. I sort of understand where everybody's coming from here. I understand Ole Miss wanting clarity. I understand Lane Kiffin at least wanting to dip his toe in and see what's out there. Yeah, I get it on all sides. It's one of those things, especially this time of year with Ole Miss now being a playoff team, definitely has introduced a little bit of complexity to the conversation, but this is just what we're going to have to watch next. Virginia Tech off the board, James Franklin off the board, Lane Kiffin, very much your time to shine. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, this should be a fascinating, next probably month, even if that. I think things are going to go crazy even sooner than that, but yeah.
I agree. I agree. All right, let's talk about these playoff rankings.
Please.
We do have a new set of rankings, Dan Rubenstein.
Yes, we do.
Number 1, 2, and 3 are unchanged. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. After that, it starts to look a little bit different than it did a week ago. Georgia at 4, Texas Tech up 1 to number 5, Ole Miss up 1 to number 6. Your Oregon Ducks up 1 to number 7, Oklahoma up 3 to number 8, Notre Dame holding steady at number 9, Alabama drops 6 to number 10. Then we've got BYU at 11, Utah at number 12, the Miami Hurricanes at number 13, and Vandy at number 14. I should also mention, just in advance of some of our picks here that we're going to give a short while from now, USC at number 15, Georgia Tech at number 16. Dan, you got any immediate reaction?
No, and should point out, Alabama's down 6 after their loss. Texas down 7 after their loss. We've got a bunch of teams, and I always try to pay attention to this as well, in that like almost 18 to 25. This week it's 20 to 25, which the the jaded person might call like resume boosters, right? Like, oh, this team, okay, interesting that they affect the resumes of these top 15 teams, but there's no real clear case for them to be ranked over any other team, and vice versa, to be clear. And when you look at teams like Mizzou, Illinois, there's sort of shaky cases in some of these situations. How do I feel about this? There's little wiggle room for Oregon, it seems. There's little wiggle room for BYU, it seems. These teams are going to have to win out, and because the number of 2-loss teams that could stay at 2 losses, like Vanderbilt, which would have a pretty big win over Tennessee in a couple weeks. USC winning out would be a win over Oregon this week. There's those wiggle room situations. The explanation from the committee about some of these situations, that they were just like grouping 1-loss teams, but not BYU. BYU has played a good schedule this year. It hasn't always been the strongest way of beating teams, but their non-conference schedule, while not amazing, played Stanford and ECU in contention for the American as we record this. I don't know. I think BYU got a little bit of a short shrift there. The way they talked about like grouping those teams, you're just like, nobody made you group 1-loss teams together. Nobody made you group 2-loss teams or undefeated teams together. You can just sort of figure out who's stronger than who based on the results. I didn't love how much conversation was around Florida State, Alabama, and Notre Dame, Miami, because I am of the mind that you should include those things as data points, but to a lesser extent. Week 1 specifically, I would include, I would say Miami's win over Notre Dame is impressive and a great data point on their resume, but it's not as impressive as a team with a big win 2 weeks ago. That's just where I stand on these things. And I think it should be held against Alabama that they lost to Florida State, but not like a team that lost 2 weeks ago to a bad team or an underwhelming team or an average team that's looking to compete. So I wish that conversation would be had, but I understand that's a subjective way of looking at this when they're trying to present as many objective data points as possible. I know you have thoughts about who you think is and isn't good, that you just think a team is better. Right now, I don't have huge objections to a lot of this. I know Miami fans are like, we're 8-2, Notre Dame's 8-2, we beat them. But I am still of the mind when I look at these rankings that you should both look at head-to-head and look at resumes in their totality. And the reality is Notre Dame lost to 2 really good teams, and Miami lost to a Louisville team that's, I think, pretty good, and lost to an SMU team on the road that's also pretty good.
Sure.
But not in these conversations at the top in the way that Notre Dame's losses are.
They're different.
And so there's a difference.
Losses. Yeah, and by the way, they have Miami again on this bracket. This week, though, they had the wherewithal to label it that
yes, I
they
saw
were
that.
putting them in as a placeholder for the ACC champion, which, again, there's only a 5.6% chance that Miami could win the ACC. But they are the highest-ranked ACC team, so for now they are the placeholder, which I understand.
Yes.
If you are a Miami fan, though, it is a math problem. There is a serious math problem that is working against you, because if you look at this field, the way that they've laid it out, I would say about 7 of the 12 teams are basically locked in at this point. And it's a near certainty that the winner of the ACC and whoever they put in as the G6 representative will both be outside the top 12, which means if you want to get in, you got to find a way into that top 10. So they need to root for two of Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU to take a loss one of these next 2 weeks. They also need SMU and Pitt to win this week to set them up for maybe a ranked game against Pitt to close out the year, to boost that loss to whatever extent that they had earlier in the year against SMU to make that look better. There is also the possibility now that they could get jumped by another 2-loss team. I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about this, but USC has Oregon this week. If USC beats Oregon on the road, pretty good chance USC is going to jump up into that conversation in a way that they aren't right now. Vandy still plays a ranked Tennessee team. That's a good game. Michigan still plays number 1 Ohio State. By the way, they've got a 4-game winning streak against Ohio State.
They do. I just rewatched Michigan Northwestern. I'm feeling even less confident about Michigan in this moment. But
Fair enough, but you understand my point.
Yes, I do.
You understand my point. So Miami is kind of caught in the wash right now in a bit of no man's land with what they've got remaining on their schedule and what the teams in front of them have on theirs, what some of the teams behind them have on theirs. And this is not me arguing for or against Miami. I think it's fairly well established that I am not objective when it comes to the whole Miami versus Notre Dame conversation. What I will say is objectively, it is not just a Miami versus Notre Dame conversation. There are many other teams in front of the Canes, rightly or wrongly, whatever you believe. That is the issue that they are currently dealing with, and we'll find out. Maybe Snake on the Toilet Saturday can give Miami a little bit of a gift and bite one of their opponents. Who knows? Here are some of the other things that I would posit.
Please.
One, I didn't think they'd have the stones to put Bama behind Notre Dame. Like, I thought for sure that they would move Oklahoma up into the top 10. That does not surprise me. But I expected that they would move Bama down to 9 and bump Notre Dame down a peg. I am taking this as a signal that Notre Dame is in so long as they don't lose to either Syracuse or Stanford.
Right.
Like, if they were going to drop Notre Dame to make room for Alabama, that would be a pretty good tell that maybe Notre Dame is on some uncertain ground. I don't think they're going to do that for a Big 12 team or even Miami at this point.
Right.
So I feel pretty good as a Notre Dame fan that they're going to find their way into this thing. The other thing that I would add is something that you brought up earlier. Like, again, a bunch of these teams feel kind of locked into me at this point. But the bracket, which I will talk through just very quickly in a second, is very much subject to change. So, like, if you're a Texas Tech fan, Texas Tech could very easily end up with a first-round bye.
Yeah.
The way that this is set up. Right now, they're 5. I actually think your Oregon Ducks have a lot of upside. They could slide up a spot. They could get a number 6 seed, and that's very important because you'd much rather be a 6 playing against whoever wins the ACC, having them travel cross-country to Eugene, than where it stands right now, which is Oregon at home hosting Alabama.
Yeah. It could be SMU, I guess, right?
Could be SMU.
That's not as far a trip. Yeah.
It could be SMU. It could be Georgia Tech. It could be Pitt. Could still be Duke. Could still be Miami. Most of those teams are traveling a great ways across the U.S. of A. Certainly, it is not a short flight even for SMU if they end up being the team. But this is all to say right now, your projected lines. I saw this courtesy of our friend Josh Pate, who posted this from FanDuel, I believe. Projected lines would be number 12, Tulane, who they have in here right now, on the road at Texas Tech. Texas Tech would be favored by 3 touchdowns. Notre Dame would be at Oklahoma, a 9 versus an 8, but they would be a 3.5-point favorite. Oregon right now would be a 4.5-point favorite over Alabama. That game again would be in Eugene. And they've got Ole Miss right now as a 3.5-point favorite over Miami. But again, that is subject to change because I don't think Miami would be getting in as an ACC conference champion.
Yeah.
The final point here is that they've got Tulane as the token G6 rep. And it looks like they are getting the nod because of their resume, which would be over Northwestern, Duke, and Memphis. Their strength of resume on the ESPN
Which, by the way, not nothing. Those are all, like, at the very least, decent power conference teams. And obviously, Memphis is a very good team in the American.
Their strength of, I guess they call it record on the ESPN website, which is essentially resume. Right now, 25th. North Texas is at 28. Interestingly enough, James Madison is at 24th. But given the fact that they ranked Tulane and not JMU at all, to me it looks increasingly like the winner of the American gets in.
Yeah.
Though I think JMU would provide a better matchup for whoever they play because of the defense. It seems as though right now the committee is favoring whoever wins the American. So we'll see. That's going to work itself out here as well.
Yes. The only other thing I would add is, there are obviously a couple different ways to think about how these results and rankings should be evaluated. And there are going to be the one side of it is like you just look at the wins, you look at the ranked wins, you look at the record, and you look at the schedule and you say, okay, this was a tough schedule. They navigated this. They scheduled well. Like in the case of Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma's had a terrific schedule in terms of like there's a lot of quality teams on this schedule, and they beat Michigan. They scheduled a home and home and beat Michigan in Norman,
Right.
and that's a quality feather in Oklahoma's cap that I think should be rewarded. But also, he says, with some of these matchups, you're like, okay, let's look at the teams that are ranked. Is Mizzou's best win a close loss to Alabama? Or Kansas, right? Is Tennessee's best win a close loss that they gacked away to Georgia? Maybe. Like, there's a lot of these teams that are ranked. Like, Illinois obviously beat Illinois is ranked, like 23rd or something like that?
Right.
So USC lost to only ranked teams because Illinois is ranked. Illinois, in their losses, has lost by an average of about 30 points. Illinois has been fully not competitive in their losses, though they did beat USC. And so when you start looking at the resumes of the teams that are capital R ranked, what's separating those teams from teams like Cincinnati and Louisville and Arizona? And the answer is not a ton.
Yeah. Right.
Like, there's not a lot of impressive results when you look at like ASU has a huge win over Texas Tech, but like they've also had like some pretty disappointing results. Obviously, with Sam Levitt's injury contributing, but they've won their last couple without Sam Levitt. I hesitate to eliminate too much context, and it's impossible because everybody evaluates context with, different margins, but I'm wary of doing too much surface in evaluating these resumes, and BCS was better. Continue.
Gotta get that one in there. All right, fair enough.
I've seen more. Every time I host a meeting, Ty, there are fewer and fewer seats. We're standing room only soon, Ty. We're standing room only.
Let's get to some picks here on Snake in the Toilet Saturday, Dan Rubenstein.
Please.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks of the week.
So look, we didn't do any picks of the week on Tuesday. We've been doing that all year, but we took the time, gave back to the Verballer Hood, answered some questions from the Verballer Hood. We've got all of the games locked and loaded and ready to go for this here Thursday episode. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
12 o'clock Eastern time, high noon on ABC. Number 22, Missouri on the road at number 8, Oklahoma. This line is down to Oklahoma -7.5 now.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Rubenstein moved a little bit since we put our initial doc together a few days ago. The stakes are pretty clear here, right? Oklahoma beat Alabama last week. They got bumped all the way up to number 8 in the rankings, as we just described. The Sooners, in effect, control their playoff destiny. They've got 2 home games left. This one this week against Mizzou. Next week, they are home as well against LSU. If they win both, they are through.
Yes.
Plain and simple. Do you think there is any possibility we see a little bit of a hangover after the win last week, the big one in Tuscaloosa?
I think maybe early on in this one, I think weather's fine. Because this game is kicking off at what time?
High noon Eastern.
High noon. So it's an early kick against a good defense, not traveling terribly far in Mizzou. I just think it's too many points for an Oklahoma team that has struggled like it has to score points offensively. Not bad, but struggled at times, right? That they've needed defensive touchdowns to get to not even that many points against teams like Tennessee, obviously last week against Alabama. Both performances terrific.
Yeah.
Really, truly terrific performances, both on the road. I think Mizzou defensively will cause problems for everybody. I mean, Vanderbilt is one of the best offenses in America. They allowed 17 points in that game. This is an angry defense. Perhaps at times too angry early on in that Mississippi State game. I just think it's too many points to give for this Oklahoma offense in a potential hangover spot. They're obviously taking this game incredibly seriously, but I just think this has slog written all over it to me. This has, 17-13, 21-19, something like that. Obviously, the focus for Mizzou is going to be on running the ball with arguably one of the best 2-3 running backs in the country, one of the best rooms in the country. And this is an Oklahoma defense that stops pretty much everything. So there is something sloggy about this matchup to me that all of a sudden this is not going to be an Oklahoma offense that scores 40 points. So I'm taking the points happily in this one because we just have two good defenses in an important spot. Oklahoma doesn't feel like a team that's going to suddenly start trying to open it up with as much on the line as there is. So I don't know. I have OU winning by a field goal.
Yeah, there's been some speculation that Bo Pribula could be back.
He worked out before the game last week. Eli Drinkwitz was non-committal. And Matt Zollers has improved.
He has
with
improved.
More reps.
I think it's going to be Zollers. I mean, judging from the comments I saw on Tuesday, and we're recording this midday Wednesday, it seems like it's going to be a stretch for Pribula to get back.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring it up on the off chance that there should be sudden improvement and he's out there. I don't want people to be caught off guard. Mizzou is 0-3 this year against ranked teams.
Yes.
And I think your question is the right one. How many points are they going to be able to score against a defense like this? It kind of cuts both ways because you could ask the same question about Oklahoma with their offense, but I also think you can ask the same question about Missouri with their offense against this Oklahoma defense with a backup quarterback. Oklahoma is something like 8th nationally. Points allowed. They're a very, very good defense. We saw that on display a week ago. I feel fairly confident saying that Ahmad Hardy is not going to run for 300 yards against this defense.
Thank you, Ty.
Which I know is a stretch, really going out on a limb here, putting my integrity on the line. But by some measures, this is like the best rush defense in the country.
Sure.
So this is a line on the Mizzou side that's shown some inconsistency. And I think Oklahoma is more than good enough to exploit that, to force Matt Zollers to beat them through the air. And I am fairly confident that Oklahoma is going to win this game, but I am with you that the point spread is also giving me fits. Because Mizzou does have a defense. Oklahoma is not out here blowing out good teams. They're not putting up 40 points a game. That's just not who they are. So I am going to err on the side of the points. I think it's something like 23-17 Oklahoma. Lower scoring, maybe closer than it should be. But I think there will be a fair amount of slog in this game as well. I think we tend to agree.
Yeah. Oklahoma, by the way, has not scored 30 points in SEC play offensively. They needed, I think, a scoop and score against Tennessee to get to 33. So it's hard to imagine against the Mizzou defense. Now, look, legs are worn down. We did speed test Saturday last week, right? This is you have an advantage, I think, at this point in the season offensively, that you're just going to be dealing with beat-up defenses, and obviously offenses are beat up as well at this point of the season, more so than any other point. So that to me is interesting, but even still, I don't think this is a 30-35 point offense for Oklahoma, no matter who they're playing. So yeah, put me down for point taken.
Also at high noon on ESPN2, Louisville on the road at SMU. SMU is a 2.5 point favorite. This may not be a marquee matchup. Not even two ranked teams.
Right.
But this game is a very big deal in the ACC. It is a very big deal in the ACC. SMU needs to win out. They need to win out, and they need to either have Georgia Tech or Virginia lose if they want to get back to that conference title game. But if you're Miami, if you're Duke, if you're Pitt, you're all rooting for SMU to lose. So there are stakes here. Whether or not these are ranked teams doesn't matter. There's a lot riding on this one. A month ago, when Louisville beat Miami, remember, we were talking them up as, oh my gosh, they might be an ACC contender now. Who could have ever seen this coming? But now they've lost the last two games at home. They've got, this road game against SMU here. I wonder what's left in the tank on the Louisville side, because it's already been something of an emotional roller coaster this season. They're a well-coached team. I like their players. There's a lot that I do like about this team. There are reasons that I don't think they're going to win this game, which I can get to. But I do think we need to start with what's left in the tank for Louisville, given the road that they have already traveled.
Agree with you completely. You could make the argument, I could make the argument that Louisville is very quiet, elite loser of the year. I think since October began, they've split their games. They're 3-3, and I think they've lost those 3 games by a combined 5 points, maybe 6 points, somewhere in there, right?
Yep.
To Cal and Clemson and I think Virginia. So, I mean, stop me if you've heard this one before, but a Miller Moss offense has issues closing.
Right.
I'm with SMU here. I think winning is a skill. Louisville not finishing, it was ugly. By the way, the Miami win aside, that Miami win was a 4 turnover advantage that they needed every single second of to close out.
Yes.
So also not an ideal way to get to the win, but getting to the win is very nice. I think SMU has improved to a really decent point here with more on the line. Obviously, it was a slow start defensively, but they've figured things out as the season has gone on. I think Louisville, especially down arguably their best offensive player, although Chris Bell is quite good as well, and Keywan Brown has done a great job in the backfield filling in. I'm in on SMU here by a touchdown. I think they cover.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up the defense because the other layer is SMU creates a ton of havoc plays.
Yep.
A ton of havoc plays, and this is a Louisville offense then that very much allows them. Yep. And so I worry that if the tank's already on E, which I don't know, and I'm just kind of speculating on, but if this is a situation where they're emotionally, physically on E, and they're playing this kind of defense that creates plays, that usually is a recipe for a handful of these game-changing plays, for SMU stealing a couple possessions here and there, and winning this game. I've got it 31-21.
Yeah, SMU off a bye as well.
Off a bye, so they got the rest advantage. And I just think, like, beyond all that, this is a Louisville line that gives me a bit of agita. Like, I don't really like the matchup in the trenches, and I think that benefits SMU.
When Louisville has the ball.
Yeah, when Louisville's got the ball. I also think SMU's going to be out for blood. I think they can smell it. They want to get back to that ACC title game. They lost a year ago. They did make the playoff a year ago, but lost that game against Clemson, could have won. I think they've got some unfinished business, and I don't expect that they're going to sleepwalk into this game against Louisville, who's probably the toughest remaining opponent on their schedule. They do have to travel to the hinterlands next week.
That's true.
So we can't take that for granted. Weird things happen. But I'm on SMU here by 10.
One other thing to watch is Louisville is like kind of average in the red zone when they have the ball.
Yeah.
And SMU might have the best red zone defense in America this year. Obviously, these are, opponent dependent, but SMU has done a great job, sometimes bending, but rarely breaking. We saw that in the Miami game as well. So 2 good defenses. We could see a lot of kicking here. And I think the Louisville defense has been let down a little bit too often by its own offense. It's too bad because the Louisville defense is, quietly one of the best in the country. So yeah, I think we agree SMU.
I'm going to do something for the Miami brethren out there.
Uh-oh.
Lock of the week.
Taking too many hits today?
Yeah. Listen, I was on SMU. I was like the SMU cheerleader of all SMU cheerleaders a year ago. You remember that? I was all in on SMU from the jump. And I'm not in on SMU now. I genuinely believe they are going to win this game by 10 points over Louisville. But if the jinx should be a thing, Miami fans can send their sweet nothings to solidverbal@gmail.com. Okay, because they could use an SMU loss here, as could a bunch of other teams.
Agree.
Let's go to 3:30 on CBS.
Yeah.
Number 15 USC on the road at number 8. Your Oregon Ducks favored now by 9.5 points. We are going to do an alt cast for this game out on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And still working on a little something special to help us keep track of the game.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I can get it done in time. It is BYOB, by the way. So if you're going to stop by, bring your own drinks, stop on over to the YouTube channel, say hello, even if it's only for a minute. We'd love to have you.
Right. Okay.
Really important game for both teams, but it is a must-win game for USC. I know you have been on the record many times over saying that USC and Lincoln Riley simply do not win these games, and clearly the numbers back that up. I think he's something like 0 for 4 against top 10 opponents, just 1 of 6 in ranked or against ranked opponents on the road in his time at USC.
Yeah.
So my question for you to kind of lead us off here as we talk about this game, how much are you considering how Indiana beat Oregon?
Okay, sure.
And how USC beat Iowa last week when you were trying to figure out how these two teams match up? Because Indiana found something that worked. And I think we saw a physicality to the way that USC beat Iowa a week ago that definitely was encouraging. So are these things that you at all consider when you're trying to put this game into context?
Yeah, I mean, I try to consider everything, right? Because Oregon's schedule has not been the most impressive in that, the non-conference portion of the schedule was Oregon State, Oklahoma State. You don't offer a lot there. Montana State, a very good FCS team, playing the Brawl of the Wild, I think, this week, right?
Yeah, number 3, I believe, in the FCS.
Yes. So very good team, but perhaps not on the same talent level. So it's hard to determine because Oregon really has like 2.5 teams to look at in like the Penn State game, whatever you feel about Penn State now, the Iowa game, and the Iowa game was pretty drenched. And of course the Indiana game, which was at home. And so Indiana being the best of those 3 teams, Oregon loses. That game was largely on the Oregon offense more than the defense. And of course, Indiana, obviously. So I look at all of this stuff. I look at USC against the better teams on their schedule, which is obviously included Notre Dame. Now I guess we have to consider Illinois a ranked team. Most recently, Iowa, of course. I like Oregon here. I like Oregon here because of the number of ways in which they can win this game. USC's major advantage is they have better receivers. Like they'll have better receivers against 130 teams in this country just because of Mekhi Lemon. Just because they have somebody who can go for 130 yards plus against pretty much anyone. And so that is a major concern if you're an Oregon fan, that all it takes is one pass and the complexion of this game can change. That said, I don't think he can win this game alone. I don't think this passing game, I don't think Jade Mayava, I don't think a potentially beat up offensive line with Elijah Page, the starting left tackle, out. I don't think it can affect this game for 4 straight quarters against what's been an excellent Oregon defense. Now, again, you got to look at the opposition. You got to look at the opposing quarterbacks. There's not much there outside of Fernando Mendoza that you can say this defense has been tested. It's true. It's like, Hunter Simmons at Wisconsin and Gronowski and Drake Lindsey. Like, the numbers can be appreciated, but I think also in that same sentence, you have to look at the quarterbacks and offenses faced.
Right.
This is by far a bigger test.
Can I ask a question, though, specifically about that matchup? Because as I was going through this, something that came to mind was a conversation that we had, and obviously a game that we saw with USC and Notre Dame. And a big part of the buildup to that game was, how is Notre Dame going to deal with Mekhi Lemon? Right. Mekhi Lemon, who works about half the time out of the slot. He is the primary receiver, the leading receiver right now. They have other good ones, but Mekhi Lemon is the dude in that receiving core for USC. Does Oregon have an answer for a guy who is working a lot out of the slot? Does that create any kind of mismatch on the Oregon secondary side of this conversation?
Yes and no. I think their best corner is Brandon Finney, the freshman, and he works outside, but they've been playing more zone than they usually have. And so I'm sure they'll have somebody over the top, whether it's Dylan Thieneman or Aaron Flowers or whoever. I'm sure they'll have a plan. Hopefully it's better than Oregon's plan for Jeremiah Smith last season.
Right.
At least in the bowl game. They did okay in the normal game in Eugene. So, yes, that's a concern. So USC on offense should score some just because they're explosive. King Miller's been very good. I don't think Wayman Jordan is back yet, so they're pretty thin. Brian Jackson has been the guy there alongside King Miller in the backfield. I think they'll move the ball some, but I think Oregon will do enough to get off the field defensively, maybe force field goal attempts, maybe, get off the field on downs, whatever, that they'll put their offense in a good position to wear down USC, especially on the ground. We saw them turn to Kenyon Sadiq more, 2 tight end sets more. They've got 3 tight ends they like a lot. I think Sadiq is, a game changer when he gets targeted. Oregon's just in a better health position outside of those 2 receivers who are out, and they've figured out ways around that. They've run the ball really well. I think this is a a sort of a close game in the first half that Oregon opens up in the middle 8. So
Okay.
eventually, I think Oregon's going to be able to move the ball on the ground. I think that's going to open up play action. USC is beat up at safety, arguably their best defensive player. Kamari Ramsey is questionable. He left the Iowa game injured alongside the other safety. I think it's Bishop Fitzgerald. I just think Oregon's going to have too much for too long to keep this close, provided Dante Moore doesn't turn over the ball. And if those safeties are out, I think that becomes less and less likely. So I have written down here 35-24. Oregon barely covers.
Yeah, I mean, the blinking red light here is USC's rushing defense.
Right.
Yeah, Notre Dame ran for 300 yards. Iowa almost got to 200, and it was pretty well telegraphed that that's what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Oregon right now is averaging 233 rushing yards per game. They've basically got 4 running backs averaging 6 yards per carry or more. In most cases, it's more.
Yes.
And if you want to count Dante Moore in that conversation as well, it's 5 guys, 5 ball carriers that average 6 yards or more per carry. I don't think USC has an answer for that. And that's going to be the issue here. I do think, like you, that they will score on Oregon. They will score. They're too good of an offense to not
Weather's good,
score.
by the way. These teams
Good
have been playing
weather?
in the rain recently.
Okay.
Weather should be like 50s, low 60s, and partly sunny.
Okay.
So good football weather.
I do think Oregon will have a lot of success on the ground. I also think that USC will have limited success through the air when they have the ball on offense. But I tend to agree with you that over the long haul, over the 60 minutes, Oregon pulls away. I know that we have had this conversation about Oregon's ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
How good is Oregon really? And I think that's a fair conversation to have, but I don't think it's up for debate that Oregon's a top 10 offense that can win in a variety of ways. And
But
so
I think if Oregon plays its B-plus game on both sides of the ball, these are top 10 units on both sides.
I agree.
I think the pass rush for Oregon will be interesting because Jaden Mayava, who is
agree.
very talented at buying himself time and rolling out and waiting for somebody to appear open late. I think the Oregon pass rush is at sort of a different level than what USC has faced thus far. And now doing it with potentially no Elijah Page, who's, I think, clearly their best offensive lineman.
Sure.
And they've had offensive line injury issues, more generally speaking, this year. I think there's going to be a lot of issues with Mayava sort of running around, perhaps too happy.
I mean, I could see it in my head as you're describing this.
Yes.
I could see it because we've seen it happen before. He's a very good quarterback. I think he's the real deal. I think he is good.
Same.
And clearly the talent that they've got around him is also very, very good.
Yeah.
It is just a question of can they keep up
On the road
can they
in
keep
a
up
difficult place.
on the road in a difficult place to play against a team that doesn't just need to run it to win it, which is where I was going with that. You know, this is a very good Oregon team that can beat you a number of different ways. And Dante Moore is completing like 73% of his passes. I think Oregon's got too many ways to win this game. I've got it at 38-25.
Okay, so we're right around the
Yeah.
same area. I think it's going to be a good game. I think USC gets theirs, but the road stuff with Lincoln Riley and USC, especially beat up. Man, if Dante Moore finds somebody down the field early, that's the sort of unlocking key, which is a redundant phrase, I know. But those are the games in which Dante Moore really thrives. That he hits somebody on 2nd and 3 for 31, and like there is a weight that falls off of his shoulders that suddenly it becomes a very big problem for the defense.
And whoever wins this game is definitely going to benefit in the college football playoff rankings. I could see them bumping Oregon up. I would be very curious to see if USC were to win this game, how far up that the committee would put them. They would certainly reward them for beating a top 10 team like Oregon. So there are pretty clear stakes in this one that I want people to be aware of. Let's move to 7 p.m. on ESPN. It is Pitt. It is number 16 Georgia Tech. The game is in Atlanta. Georgia Tech is about a 3-point favorite right now. I've got it written down at 2.5 points.
Yeah.
This is an elimination game, Dan.
Correct.
There's kind of no way around it. If Georgia Tech wins, they clinch a spot in the ACC title game. If they're losing, they're out. And if Pitt wins, then they need to win next week against Miami. They probably need to get a little bit of help in addition to that, but they would be in a really, really good spot to get to that game as well. So Look, you know where I stand on this one. I've been pretty clear that I think Pitt is going to win this game outright.
Right.
Georgia Tech won this game last year. It was at Pitt, but before that, it was 3 straight games that they played in Bobby Dodd Stadium, and Pitt won all of them. So I'm on Pitt. I feel good about Pitt. I am sticking to my guns. My preseason prediction of Pitt getting to the ACC title game is still alive and well, and maybe needs a little bit of help, but still very much mathematically possible.
Right.
Before I tell you why don't you tell me why you're not going to take Pitt?
I'm not taking Pitt. I think 2 things can be true. I think Pitt's season, the emergence of Mason Heinschel, they've just been great, right? That Pitt and their second half of the 2024 season, the momentum that they did or didn't have coming into this year didn't seem like it existed. And they were able, after kind of a slow, weird start this season, to right the ship behind a good defense and sort of surprise play from their quarterback. When you look at the teams in which they have surprised us all, I guess, it leaves a lot to be desired. And I don't think any of those teams did any one specific thing in an excellent way in the way that Georgia Tech runs the ball. So I don't think Pitt is bad. I don't even think Pitt is average. I think Pitt's pretty good. But I think the story around Pitt is perhaps a little bit exaggerated by the pom-pom cheerleaders like you.
So, yeah.
Now,
noted Pitt enthusiast, Ty Hildenbrand, also Penn State grad. Continue.
No. But you ride for the Keystone State, Ty.
H2P, baby. I do indeed.
I'm gonna blurb that, by the way. H2P, baby.
Yeah.
Ty Hildenbrand. I don't like Georgia Tech's defense at all. I don't like where Georgia Tech's defense has been, albeit it's been on the road these past couple weeks. It's NC State in a losing effort where they gave up like half a hundo and then nearly lost to Boston College. Now, a lot of teams don't look their best against Boston College, and they're still quality, right, Ty? Right, Ty? Right, Notre Dame fan,
yeah,
Ty?
Absolutely. Quality. Yeah, continue.
I think Georgia Tech's going to be able to control this game enough on the ground. I think there was enough exposed about Pitt by Notre Dame last week, who they were open to losing to by 100. To be clear, I think Georgia Tech at home in a look-ahead spot, but Pitt is a team you obviously take seriously because you haven't had the success against them. I think Georgia gets enough from the offense to overcome whatever they allow on their defense. I think they're going to be more locked in at home. I have Georgia Tech 31, Pitt 26.
I have 38-33 Pitt. And here's why I'm on Pitt. This is, for sure, a very good Georgia Tech offense, especially on the ground. You're right to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where you're wrong. Even last week against Notre Dame, outside of that one long run by Jeremiah Love, Pitt defended the run pretty well.
Sure.
And I'm of the mind that Pitt is actually good enough defensively to force Haynes King to beat them through the air. Haynes King is still pretty good through the air. Haynes King's a very good quarterback, right? This isn't a knock on him.
Their current EPA per dropback is 7th nationally.
They're very good.
It's not a lot of stuff downfield, terribly downfield, but they are very efficient.
They are, absolutely.
Eric Rivers had a pretty good year. Yeah.
So this is not a knock on Georgia Tech. It's more a compliment of what I think is a misunderstood element of the Pitt defense, and that's that they're actually kind of built to stop the run.
True.
And I think they can stop this run. I also think that Mason Heinschel is going to throw all over Georgia Tech's defense. They're not good on defense. We've seen that a couple weeks running now. They haven't been good on defense for a while. It's sort of been the Georgia Tech story.
First half of the season when they got some guppies like Colorado and Clemson.
Sure. But I think Heinschel is going to throw all over these guys, and I think this is going to be a shootout. So I hear what you're saying, and a lot of it is accurate. But I think Pitt is better against the run than many understand right now.
That's
fair. They're going to make Georgia Tech somewhat one-dimensional, and it's going to be a fun ACC game. Never mind who wins. This is going to be a fun game in Bobby Dodd. But I think Pitt at night.
Yeah.
I think Pitt emerges victorious 38-33.
Okay. We disagree.
Let's go to this one, another night game. This one's at 8 p.m. on Fox. Number 11, BYU, is a 2.5-point road favorite at Cincinnati. Speaking of games that are enormously significant in their conference, This is a very big deal in the Big 12. If BYU wins out this week against Cincinnati, next week against UCF, it is likely going to mean a rematch between BYU and Texas Tech for the Big 12 championship.
Mm-hmm.
I say likely because there is still a chance that Texas Tech could lose next week on the road at West Virginia, in which case that game could be against Utah, could be against Arizona State. It could still be against Texas Tech. There are a lot of possibilities right now in the Big 12. But in case you're interested, there is a 94% chance that it's either going to be Texas Tech or BYU winning the Big 12.
Right.
The other teams still have a chance, but between Utah, Arizona State, and Cincinnati, I believe I saw there's a combined 6% chance that one of them is going to win the conference. So, two teams, very good teams, both on offense and on defense, especially in the red zone. Often these are the types of games where we talk about a team losing because they end up settling for field goals. And so that is where my mind goes first when I look at the tendencies of these two teams and these two defenses. Somebody is going to have to hold the other down in the red zone, and my hunch is that whoever does that the most is going to be the one that emerges victorious. Am I saying anything that is next level, that is galaxy-brained in terms of how football works? No, of course not. Whoever scores the most points wins. That's the way this damn thing was played. But I am looking first and foremost at the red zone because one of these two teams has to give on that side. Otherwise, we're going to get like a 6-3 game, which I don't expect. So I'm looking first and foremost to see who is going to be more effective on defense, specifically in the red zone.
So, yeah, Cincinnati's been bend but don't break. The defense, especially against the pass, has not been good, but they are good at forcing threes or getting off the field on fourth down, whatever, in the red zone. BYU's the better team.
Yeah.
I don't think that is a controversial statement, but I don't think you judge BYU based on what they do against Texas Tech. I don't think you judge BYU based on what they do those first 6 weeks of the season, 3 weeks of the season, whatever. If BYU is excellent, if BYU has a legit chance to win this conference and look better than they did against Texas Tech, obviously they have to win this game. This is a much more meaningful game than what they've played recently, just because there's more on the line. It's on the road. They have not been great on the road this year, right? When you look at the Iowa State, the first half, the first 2.5 quarters, whatever, of the Iowa State game, they go to double overtime against what I think is a good Arizona team, but nonetheless, they needed every second and maybe a bailout call at the end of regulation to win that game. Colorado, I think, was pretty dicey. This has not been a team that, anywhere, anyone will beat you by 2 touchdowns. That's just not BYU this year. And that's okay because, once again, winning is a skill. BYU executes. They come out with a W. I think BYU does the same thing here, but I think it is by, once again, the skin of their teeth. So I have BYU winning this one 28-24 and needing every single second to do so.
I like what Cincinnati has done this year.
Yep.
This was a pivotal season for Scott Satterfield. And so if they come away from this thing with 7, with 8, with 9 wins, this season is definitely a step forward compared to last.
Yep.
He has done a good job this year. If we stress test the resume, though, kind of to your point.
Yeah.
The best win was over a 4-loss Iowa State. And now each of the last 2 weeks, they have played teams with considerably better defenses in Utah and Arizona, and they lost both those games.
Yep. And they lost the Utah game by a lot.
A lot. That wasn't even close.
With like game day in town. Yeah.
And so I think there is something to be learned from that. I like BYU a lot in this spot. I think they're more battle tested. I think the way they responded, in particular against TCU after losing, was really impressive.
Agree.
It would have been very easy to go 1-2-3 Cancun and just peace out. But instead, as I think you pointed out, it might have been their most complete game of the season. They looked awesome against TCU.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to agree. I don't think this is a blowout because BYU is not a blow 'em out kind of team. But I got 27-20 BYU.
Okay.
Winning this game on the road and giving themselves an opportunity, again, to get back into potentially a rematch against Texas Tech.
Yes.
We agreed on far too much.
Yeah. I guess it comes down to the ACC.
Yeah, it really does. I've got a dozen here. Let's just do some quickies. You all right?
I'm ready.
Good with that?
Yes.
1 p.m. on TNT. It is Baylor. It is Arizona. Arizona is a 6.5-point favorite, Dan. Who you got?
I like Arizona here. Baylor has really struggled. They've struggled on the road. They've struggled defensively over the course of the year, getting worse and worse and worse. Arizona at home, I think the defense is going to come to play. And even if Sawyer Robertson and Baylor moves the ball some, I think Arizona on the ground should have a good amount of success against Baylor. So I have them winning this game by 8. So 31-23 at 34-25, somewhere in there.
I really like Arizona here as well. Their pass defense. Again, people don't realize how good this pass defense is.
Dude, these safeties are so good for Arizona.
It's a really good pass defense, and the job that Brent Brennan has done in year 2 has been a complete turnaround story. So
they have a
kudos to
safety
him.
named Genesis.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and he's great.
Kudos to him. The pass defense is good. The offense is more than good enough to score points on this Baylor team.
Yes.
I've got Zona winning and covering 38-28, let's say. 3:30 on ABC. It is Arkansas. It is number 17, Texas. Texas now favored by 8.5 points, Dan. You mentioned this on Tuesday, but this is a mammoth letdown look-ahead spot for Texas, right? 1 week after the Georgia game, 1 week before the rivalry against Texas A&M. Sometimes you see teams kind of take this one off or at least look past it. So is this something you expect to see now for Texas favored by more than a touchdown at home against Arkansas?
I mean, who's more of a snake in the toilet than Bobby Petrino?
He's just a regular snake, but continue.
Yes. Well, I mean, sometimes he gets thirsty, and where's he going to go? I have Arkansas here. Arkansas has competed with the best of their schedule in the SEC, so not counting the Notre Dame game, of course.
Yep.
You can move the ball against Texas, as team after team after team has proven. Texas has not separated, with the exception of the Oklahoma game. But again, that's Oklahoma dealing with basically a non-throwing passing attack in that game. Taylor Green can be quite good if Arkansas does not turn the ball over 3 times. That's my magic number.
Yeah.
If they turn it over fewer than 3 times, I think they cover this game, and I think they will. So I have Arkansas not winning this game. Oh, that would be. I'm sort of circling Bobby Petrino, Arkansas, as a snake in the toilet here.
Yeah.
It would be a great, just outright pick. I can't do it because winning is a skill that Arkansas just hasn't possessed this year. They've come close time after time after time, but since the game is in Austin, I'm going to go Texas here, winning this game 30-24.
I've got Texas winning and covering here.
Texas doesn't blow teams out.
They don't blow teams out. But
It looked like they were going against Vandy. And then what?
I stand by what I said before the Georgia game a week ago. And I still do feel in my marrow that Texas has improved, that we have seen real growth from them, that we've seen some growth from Arch Manning. Obviously, last week did not go as expected or as they hoped it could go, not as expected. But I am on Texas here minus the number. I think they're going to get a big resounding win here against Arkansas, and they're going to go into that game at home, week 14, with a full head of steam trying to knock off Texas A&M.
That's fine. I just also look at the body language of Texas in the fourth quarter against Georgia, man.
All right, fair enough. We disagree.
Done. They were done, Ty. I don't think Arkansas is that good, but Texas is Kentucky-ish. They're Mississippi State-ish. If they were if it said something different on their uniform, if they had a different logo on their helmet, you'd be like, what a disappointing team. I don't have faith in them.
Okay.
They've scored a touchdown in their biggest games on offense.
Give me Texas.
Ohio State,
Give
Oklahoma,
me Texas
and
minus
Georgetown.
the number.
Georgetown, Georgia. Okay, we disagree.
3:30 ESPN. Speaking of which, we got Kentucky on the road at number 14 Vandy. Number 14 Vandy favored by 9.5 points. Possible look-ahead spot. Tennessee is on deck. Their rivalry game.
Yeah.
For Vanderbilt. They were off last week. They will be fresh coming into this one. So if there is any kind of look ahead, it'd be an open face look ahead sandwich.
Yeah.
Give me Kentucky plus the points.
I'm taking Kentucky plus the points as well.
I am going to go Kentucky plus the points because I feel like Kentucky's found something. Over the last couple of weeks, I feel like we have seen a much, much, much better version of Kentucky. I don't think they win this game outright, but I do think they've learned how to score. I think they've turned over something a new leaf, and I think they'll be competitive here. So 9.5 points. I understand the line. I get it. I think Kentucky's going to be within 4 or 5 points of Vanderbilt.
Same. Vandy has not been a team to blow teams out, and it's because of their defense. I think Kentucky should be able to move the ball some. Vandy obviously had a good week against Mizzou Bo Prabula wasn't that good against Vandy's defense either when he was in there. But other than that, Vandy's defense has allowed points, most recently to Auburn. So I think Kentucky's able to move the ball some. I think they're able to stop Diego Pavia and Kentucky and Vandy some. And so I think Vandy wins this game, but I don't have this by a ton of points. So I don't know. Let's call it 27-20.
That feels about right. Yeah, that feels about right. 3:30 ACC Network, Duke minus 6.5 on the road against North Carolina. Big old rivalry here, Dan.
Yes.
Interesting nugget on the UNC side. If they can get to 20 points, they win this year. It's a big if, and it hasn't happened often, but when they get to 20, they do win the game. I look at the Duke defense and I say, they could probably score 20 points against that.
Yes.
I'm not too enamored with the Duke defense. I'm not sure they can win, but I do feel pretty confident that they can get to 20 here, Dan. How do you feel about this one?
North Carolina lock of the week.
Lock of the week.
You're going with the fighting Belichicks here, huh?
I am. Well, after I saw the clip of the rec league cheerleading competition that Bill Belichick was attending to watch his girlfriend compete, I don't know what role she had if she was somebody who was launched into the air or somebody who caught people launched in the air. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think the spirit, I think the gusto, I think the electricity is all riding with North Carolina, especially since Duke has been terrible lately. Do you know how difficult, in retrospect, it is to give up 45 points to the Clemson offense in 2025? Duke managed to do it. Now, they won that game. Winning's better than losing, but I don't know, man. They lost by 9 to Georgia Tech at home. They lose to UConn, giving up 37. They lose to Virginia, getting doubled up. So they're losing even if they give up only 20 points in that Georgia Tech game and that Virginia game. I don't love the North Carolina offense here, but I think the North Carolina defense can do enough. They're at home. They're dogs. I think they beat their rival in Duke, and it's on the back of the defense. Now, Darian Mensah hasn't turned the ball over a ton, but I think if at all, I don't know if he's thrown an ACC interception, but I still like the UNC offense to move the ball just enough to get to that vaunted 20-point threshold to beat Duke, who has not been playing well, has arguably the worst thing in this game in their defense. I have North Carolina winning this game 24-18.
Woo, that's spicy.
And I feel great about it.
Do you?
Yes.
Really? You feel great about North Carolina?
Yes.
Man.
I mean, I made it my lock of the week.
I listen. I'm with you. I'm going to go North Carolina as well, though not outright. Right. I don't know. Situationally, this feels like a weird spot for Duke. It just feels like a weird spot. They lost a week ago to Virginia, right? Mm-hmm. It's been very lumpy this year. It's been very boomer busty.
Yeah.
And I could see North Carolina here in a rivalry spot being up for this game, and I could see them pulling the upset. I could certainly see them cover.
It's at home. It's in Chapel Hill. Chapel Bill.
4 o'clock, ESPN2, Kansas State at Utah. We thought this was going to be a monster game back in week 1. Turns out it isn't. But here's something interesting for the football nerds in the back.
Okay.
Utah plays the highest rate of zone coverage and is also the second most blitz-heavy team in college football. With that being said, even as a 17.5-point favorite, Dan Rubenstein, it's a bit of a risk. There's a bit of a risk when you play like that against a quarterback like this in Avery Johnson. Because what happens when you blitz and play a lot of man coverage, I said zone coverage.
Yeah.
You've got defenders with their back to the quarterback. The blitz causes him to escape the pocket. And perhaps you've got our guy, Avery Johnson, running clean through the defense. I'm sure they will have a spy for young Avery Johnson, but I do think that is an interesting matchup to watch. I don't know why I wrote highest rate of zone coverage.
Yeah,
highest
to
rate
be
of
clear,
man coverage.
Utah plays a ton more man coverage than the average team. They trust their corners. They blitz. They do a good job.
So those guys go in pass coverage. They turn their backs to the quarterbacks.
Totally.
They're maybe already blitzing to try and force the issue. Avery Johnson very good at escaping the pocket. Perhaps that gives him some running lanes. Would not surprise me if we see a really good rushing effort from Avery Johnson in this one against Utah. Not to say they're going to win. It's a 17-point line, but that's sort of one of the things that I'm interested in.
Kansas State scored how many points last week against Oklahoma State? 14?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going Utah.
I think I'm going Utah here.
I
think
too.
the Kansas State
too.
defense is going to be having their hands full with Utah, especially on the ground. Utah's just been kicking teams all night, all day. So I'm going Utah here. I think defensively, you have less of a rushing attack to worry about this year with Kansas State than in previous years, correct?
Yeah.
Kansas State's one of the worst running teams in America this year. For all you want to say about, Avery Johnson playing against man coverage or whatever, is Avery Johnson going to run?
I'm just saying that's something that is of interest to me. Schematically, it's, could be a little bit of an interesting wrinkle. That's all.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm picking Utah. I'm not picking K-State.
Okay. K-State has given up a ton of big plays. I think Utah is going to be winning this game something like 42 to 20. I don't know.
When Utah
Something
beats teams, they really beat teams.
Yeah, they've been scoring. And as soon as a team makes a mistake, Utah is ready to turn that into points. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm dismayed that I screwed up my interesting nugget. That I read the wrong word, but whatever.
You corrected yourself.
I did correct myself.
All's well.
4 o'clock on Fox. It is TCU at number 23. Houston favored by 2.5 point stand. If Houston wins out, they go 10-2.
Correct.
Not going to play for the Big 12. But if they go 10-2, that's a hell of an accomplishment in year 2 for Willie Fritz. So they have had a great season already to this point. It does not matter what happens moving forward. Obviously, you would like some wins here. I think they will get a win here. I really don't know what TCU is supposed to be at this point. They're just sort of an average team. And I think Houston is playing with a full head of steam. I think they got a lot of momentum. I think they're playing with confidence. I think they have gotten better as the season has gone on. And I tend to believe a lot in Willie Fritz. So give me Houston minus the number.
And you forgot one other. Well, you forgot two things. One, they're coming off of a bye. Houston is. So they have the rest advantage. 2, they stayed within 10 points of West Virginia, Ty. They stayed within 10.
I know. It's crazy.
West Virginia is out here ruining the vibes of what? Houston and Pitt randomly this year?
Yeah.
Oh, Scotty Fox, playmaker. I'm going to go Houston here to win this game. I think it being at home, having what they have on the line, which is huge improvement over last year's 4-8 season, and TCU really struggling on defense, really struggling to get off the field on third down. I think Connor Wigman has had quietly one of the more impressive bounce back years, given all the injury history he's had in his college career. I'm going Houston here to win by 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. And the Connor Wigman story has been really interesting. He's been very good on the ground, too. He leads the team in touchdowns, got 9 touchdowns. He's averaging close to 5 yards a carry. He's been running the ball. He's over 500 yards on the ground this season. So not the leading rusher, but the leading touchdown scorer, at least on the ground, and has been, as you said, a really good bounce back story. So good for him and good for Willie Fritz and the Houston Cougars. I am rooting for them to go 10-2.
Plus, I have my retirement account with Houston starting running back Dean Connors. So there's that too. I need the success.
7 o'clock NBC, Nebraska at Penn State. Penn State favored by 9.5 points.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, where's my sound?
Wow, that's a lot of potatoes.
That is a lot of potatoes for this Penn State team. But TJ Lateef on the road, I guess, is what the odds makers are looking at. And they're saying, nah, we're good. We're going to go Penn State.
Yeah. I really did think it was too many points. But if we're going to talk about those, you talked about BYU's bounce back after the performance against Texas Tech, or lack thereof, and looking really good against TCU. Let's not gloss over Penn State losing on like the catch of the millennia to a top 5 team, losing on a miracle catch by, I believe it was Omar Cooper, right?
Omar Cooper Jr., yep.
Bouncing back, winning the land-grant trophy by nearly 3 touchdowns. And to me, that speaks to the vibes that everybody's so happy James Franklin is gone. Which, have fun, Virginia Tech. No, I'm obviously kidding here. No, it is. We shouldn't gloss over the fact that Penn State did win. They were impressive. They could have lost that game. They could have lost 2 games because of the Omar Cooper catch. Bounced back against Michigan State. We don't need to talk about the Spartan vibes in this moment.
No.
But I'm going to go Penn State here. I don't trust TJ Lateef. This would be Dana Holgerson's masterwork if Nebraska's able to get what they got out of the air like they did against, was it UCLA a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Against Penn State. I don't know. I think Penn State wants to finish strong.
I'm going to go Penn State as well here.
Yeah.
Matt Rule coming back into town. Maybe he'll stay. Maybe he'll have a change of heart. Who knows?
So if they're really good, if Nebraska is awesome, then that's a feather in his cap and Penn State's impressed. But if Penn State dominates this game, then they have their answer.
I just want everybody to know, everybody be on alert.
Yeah.
That if Matt Rule should pull the move that he pulled both at Temple and at Baylor, where he signed an extension and then left a few months later.
Yeah.
If he were to do that and end up as Penn State's coach, not to say I would be that excited about Matt Rule as Penn State's new coach, I would gloat to no end if I ended up being right after all about Matt Rule being the coach at Penn State. Just saying, just putting that out there.
So
I don't think that's going to happen, but FYI.
So what is James Franklin making from Penn State now?
They negotiated his buyout down to $9 million.
$9 million.
Yes.
So all I will say as it relates to this topic you just brought up is they're down a lot less money than initially thought. And I know it was going to be an annual payment plan or whatever. But with regard to Matt Rule's buyout, it's not crazy.
We shouldn't even have this conversation because people are going to take it the wrong way and think we're saying something we're not.
I have no intel on the subject.
No, I don't either at this point. I thought I did, but I don't.
This would be akin to you picking Michigan to win the national championship all season long 2 years ago, only for you to turn your back, pick Alabama in the Rose Bowl, and then have Michigan win.
Yeah.
So you've admitted defeat on the Rule thing.
Yeah.
And it's not technically off the table yet.
7:30 ABC. If I'm being honest, I'm very uncomfortable that we waited this long to talk about this game. Number 20, Tennessee, -3.5 on the road at Florida. This is a historic, an iconic, and important rivalry that almost means nothing right now because Florida fired its coach. Don't know who the next guy's going to be. Guess we're going to have to wait and find out. Tennessee, number 20 right now. They got a big game next week against Vanderbilt. I did see that they have like a 0.2% chance of making the playoff. I would love for somebody to game plan for me exactly how that is possible because that would be a hoot. If Snake in the Toilet Saturday ends up being a gigantic king cobra in the toilet, then perhaps those odds shoot up and Tennessee maybe becomes more of a player in that conversation. As it stands, I have no idea how we get there. They're only a 3.5-point road favorite in the Swamp against Florida, Dan. What are we saying here? What are we feeling?
Florida plays well at home. I mean, ignore the USF result. Florida plays well at home.
They play great at home, yeah.
So Florida at home obviously lost to USF, but they beat Texas, they beat Mississippi State, then fired their coach after a win. And their terrible results recently, well, it wasn't even that terrible against Georgia. That was a close loss, but it was away from Gainesville, away from Gainesville, away from Gainesville these last 3 weeks. So, I don't know. Whatever the situation, the Swamp always wants to beat Tennessee by 100, right?
Always.
So this place will be amped up. Florida does have a promising quarterback. I won't say great quarterback. I'll say promising quarterback. Tennessee matches up nicely in that they're not great against the pass, and Florida's had some issues through the air, and the turnovers obviously have been an issue this year. And Florida's defensive weakness has been playing the pass, and Tennessee can throw the ball well. So it lines up kind of nicely for Tennessee. I'm just not there. I'm just not there with the Vols in this spot. I think this is the last gasp for whatever this season is for Florida, and I think they're going to win this game.
I've got Florida outright.
I do too.
And I couldn't quite put into words why I felt that way. But this is a vibes thing for me. And I agree with you that this is kind of like a last gasp situation for Florida. Now, Florida's got Florida State, I believe, to close out the year.
Yep.
Right. So they're not short on games that are meaningful within the state of Florida, within the state of just their program. Beating Florida State would be a very big deal in its own right. It could get Mike Norvell fired. Who knows? But this is a classic SEC rivalry. Goes way back to the years of Peyton Manning being at Tennessee, if not much farther back. So I am of the mind that Florida is winning this game outright. I'm feeling it too.
So Tennessee on the road this year. Overtime, I want to say, against Mississippi State, in which they needed 2 defensive touchdowns to have that tied at the end of regulation. Lose by 17 to Bama. Give up 34 points. You know how hard that is to Kentucky? In a win, they scored 56. It's hard to give up 34 points to a Mark Stoops team. Tennessee's defense managed. And now they get Florida on the road in like a Florida situation, which they have 0 to lose. So,
okay,
I'm going Florida.
4 other games very quickly. Let's buzz through them.
Please, please, please.
7:30 Big Ten Network. Illinois -7.5 on the road at Wisconsin. Dan, Wisconsin's offense has been dreadful. Illinois can finish 9-3 if they win out. How you feeling?
I like Illinois here. You have to find reasons to like Wisconsin, and if they can't move the ball, like you saw it against Indiana, right, where they're frisky for a certain amount of time, but you know,
I'm on Illinois.
Your defense can only play so long.
I'm on Illinois by about 14 here.
Yeah.
7:30 ACC Network. Cal, Stanford, the big game. Cal favored by 3.5 points. Playing this game at Stanford. Did you happen to see that next week's Notre Dame Stanford game's kicking off at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time?
Yeah, that would be South Bend time, right? Is that what time it is in South Bend?
Yeah.
It's Eastern? Yeah. Great.
It's a late kick. Good thing we're doing the stream. Otherwise, I'd be sound asleep.
Yep. I like Cal here.
Give me Cal.
By the way. Yeah.
Let's go, Cal. 8 p.m. ESPN2, Arizona State -7.5 points on the road at Colorado. Let me just say, Jeff Sims has actually been decent.
He has.
And I poked a lot of fun, I'm never picking Arizona State again. It's a Jeff Sims team now. But Jeff Sims has been decent. The other thing that I will offer about Arizona State while we're here, did you see that Sam Leavitt is likely going to be in the portal?
That at least he's considering. It was refuted, I think, by his brother, but the brother didn't say, no, of course not. He's staying at ASU. He loves ASU. So there was a report that he is looking to command big money in the portal. And why wouldn't you? I guess if you're Sam Leavitt and you don't feel like ASU is paying you anywhere near your market value, I think ASU is a great situation for Sam Leavitt, but I'm sitting here in the Chicago burbs. What do I know? Interesting story. Interesting.
I'm on ASU here. ASU beats Colorado.
Yeah, I think the big thing here with ASU this week is they get to play Colorado.
Yeah, exactly.
And Deion Sanders this week sort of said, hey, we just need a little bit more time. They're getting a new AD, which is never great. And he said, look, we've made some mistakes this year with how we handled these games and these rosters and these game plans. I'm like, ooh, it's not what I love to see before a game against a quality team. I'm going ASU.
And last but not least, Friday, 8 p.m. ESPN, Florida State -4.5 on the road at NC State.
I'm going Florida State here.
Yeah, Florida State needs to win one of their next 2 to go to a bowl game. They've got NC State. They got Florida left. Both of them are on the road. And NC State is also in the same position. They need 1 win to qualify. They got Florida State this week, North Carolina next. Both of their games are at home. Yeah. I am on Florida State here as well. I'm not sure where NC State's at right now. So give me Florida State. I'm not sure what going to a bowl. I'm not sure what going 7-5 would mean for Mike Norvell. But beating NC State on the road would be a nice start on a Friday night. Give me the Noles.
Done.
All right, Dan. I have very, very, very quickly a list of games that I think are a bit under the radar, and it's because there are 5 G6 games here that we need to put on people's radar.
Please.
The first is Friday night, 10:30 on FS1. It is Hawaii on the road at UNLV. UNLV favored by 2.5, 3 points. I am all over Hawaii outright here.
I love UNLV. Can't wait to watch it early Saturday morning. This is past my bedtime.
1 p.m. ESPN Plus. Washington State at James Madison. The Dukes are a 13.5 point home favorite. They need style points, Dan. That is clear from the college football playoff rankings.
Agree.
I think they can get those style points against Wazoo. So give me JMU.
I like JMU as well, but I I really hesitated on this one because Wazoo's defense has been good, and they've played like an unreasonable amount of really good offenses this year, and they've held up defensively decently well. They were right there against Virginia, who could win the ACC, right there against Ole Miss, likely playoff team. They're in a great spot to build on a weird year. So it's just traveling across the country. I think JMU is too good on both sides of the ball. Give me JMU.
3:30 ESPN Plus, ECU minus 2.5 points on the road at UTSA is a big game.
Yeah.
For ECU, and I think they deliver. Give me ECU.
I love UTSA here. They're getting aggressive dome in the Alamo Dome here, Ty. Give me the Roadrunners.
3:45 ESPNU, number 24 Tulane minus 8.5 points on the road at Temple. I am all over Temple.
I love Temple too.
I am
Damn it. I hate
over
this.
Temple, Dan. Where is my sound here? Where is my home dog of the week sound? It was here a second. Here it is.
I can make it.
The Yakos, home dog of the week.
Gimme Temple plus the 8.5 against Tulane.
This is the masterpiece that Casey Keeler paints to get that Penn State job.
Maybe.
Temple.
Who knows? Doesn't seem like anybody wants it.
Temple wins this outright. Continue.
And finally, last game on the slate here for us. 7 p.m. CBS Sports Network. Your New Mexico Lobos on the road at Air Force, a 2.5 point favorite.
I don't love that it's at altitude, but it is no longer October, but I'm still going New Mexico here outright. The Air Force defense is terrible, and the New Mexico run defense is pretty good.
Fair enough. All right, listen. This is the week to go out and do stuff. This is the week. It's a snake in the toilet Saturday. You and I happen to think it's going to get weird, but if you look just at face value at many of these games, I understand if you're like, listen, I gotta spend some time with a significant other.
Pre-Thanksgiving weekend, pre-rivalry weekend.
I've been holed up watching football all through October, a good chunk of November. We gotta give a weekend back. This is the weekend to give it back for Ballerhood.
Or maybe you start furiously swiping to find that significant other. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Swipe, work the apps, whatever you're into.
Work the grocery stores, whatever you need to do.
The grocery stores. Isn't that creepy?
No. You just happen to be ordering the same cold cuts as, somebody attractive next to you.
When
I
was
strike
single,
up a conversation.
back in the years when I was single, I remember people saying, go to the grocery store. It's a great way to meet
me.
people.
Yeah.
Maybe it was you. Go to the grocery store. It's a great way to meet people.
Yeah.
How? That seems creepy to me.
I'm
just going to follow somebody from aisle to aisle. Like, what's the strategy there?
No, you don't follow somebody, but if you notice somebody, then you figure out how to happen to run into them.
Oh, you like Cheetos too? That's weird. Like, what is the pickup line there? What is the entry point into a conversation? I never understood how that's a real thing.
If they're buying Cheetos and you happen to have Cheeto thoughts, you can be like, flaming hot too much. I get that, right? You have to come in with a little bit of charm, Ty, a little bit, as the kids say, some of that riz, but it can be done. Or go play rec league volleyball or something.
If you met your significant other or just a significant other at some point in your life at the grocery store, solidverbal@gmail.com, write in, I need to know how.
Sorry,
we never understood that idea. Never.
We can't all meet our significant others at chemical and gas companies, Ty. The old-fashioned way.
I'm not looking down my nose at this. I just need to understand it. I don't get how it works.
Well, I think it's just charm on a level that you can't connect with.
Probably. I mean, obviously, but yeah.
Speaking of which, Ty, if you could quickly drop that big stanky, nibbling, nestling drum and fight.
Oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby, oh, baby.
If I know Ty, this is going to be a nibbling, nestling weekend. Continue.
12 p.m., Fordham 1-10, Merrimack 3-8. Who you got?
Ty. Stop the music. There is one game this weekend. Don't insult our listeners. There is one Pat League game and one Pat League game only. Who you got in the only game that matters? Lehigh, Lafayette, in Easton, at whatever the name of the field is. Who you have?
So there are other Pat League games. There's Fordham, Merrimack. There's Richmond, Bill and Mary. There's Bucknell, Colgate. There's Georgetown, Holy Cross.
Yeah.
But we speak in hush revered tones about this year's installment of Lehigh Lafayette.
Well, Bill and Mary is not a Pat League team.
I know, but it features a Pat League game or
Fine.
Pat League team in the game.
Merrimack is not. Yeah.
Lehigh is 11-0. They are 4th in the FCS. Lafayette is 8-3. I believe they're 25th or 24th in the FCS rankings as well. The winner of this game will win the Pat League, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Lehigh's already clinched it. I have not looked at the scenarios there the way I'm looking at playoff scenarios, but you understand where I'm at here.
I do.
This is a very big game. I got to go Lehigh Mountain Hawks. I got to go Lehigh Mountain Hawks because I need them to get into the playoffs. I need them to play a game or two at Murray H. Goodman Stadium because I want to go over there and I want to watch it with my own two eyes.
Sure.
So go Lehigh, go Engineers, go Mountain Hawks. I'm saying this is going to be something like 27-17. A resounding win on the road in Fisher Stadium. Lehigh brings home Patriot League. They bring home that first round bye in the FCS playoffs.
So both of these teams are 6-0 in the Pat League. So I don't understand the tiebreakers here. But if Lafayette finishes 7-0 in the Pat League,
well, all these teams play other teams, so I didn't know who else they played. Sorry, I know we do this, but I'm not on the up and up with all of my Pat League scenarios.
I think this is going to be a low-scoring game for Lehigh.
By the way, I'm wearing the shirt.
77-3 Lafayette.
Whoa.
You are wearing this shirt.
77-3?
77-3. Limb from limb.
I'm wearing the shirt here. Look at
you
this.
are wearing the Dvorak shirt. It looks beautiful.
You can go to our merch store, Solid Verbal.
Merch.solidverbal.com.
Merch.solidverbal.com. We have found a graphical representation. This is Dvorak. You've told me this is sort of like Creative Commons licensed, so we can use the picture.
Yes.
We turned it into an illustration. It doesn't, look at this, I'm standing up. It doesn't not look like a more distinguished version of Spencer Hall without the glasses.
Some might argue less distinguished, but it definitely looks like him.
It doesn't not look like Spencer.
Correct.
But this is the graphical representation of the often imitated but never actually duplicated dramatic drive chart segment that you do.
Yes.
Only once this year, which that's for you to determine in your own free time. But we've got a shirt. Go and check out the dramatic drive tee.
Can I add one more thing if I can? I know this has been a long show. It's free audio at this point.
It's free audio. Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking about this, and you know about like Chinese New Year's, and it's like the year of the dragon, the year of the blah, blah, blah. I think this is college football's year of the bear. Okay?
Year of the bear.
Year of the bear.
Chris
if I
Felica?
may. So yes, of course, we have Chris the Bear Felica doing bear bets with our friend Jeff Schwartz.
Yep.
We've got the Cal Bears playing in big games. Yes.
Mm.
We have the Baylor Bears potentially beating the ACC champion early on in the season.
Okay.
Let's not pay attention too much to what those Bears have accomplished since then.
No.
We've got arguably the number one freshman quarterback in a power conference named
Bear Bachmeier.
Bear Bachmeier.
Yeah.
The number one team in the Big 12's name at quarterback starts with Baron Morton.
Baron Morton. Okay. This is a bit of a stretch now, but continue.
We've got the Brawl of the Wild featuring the Montana Grizzlies this week.
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
We've got the Kutztown Golden Bears.
Kutztown, Dan.
Kutztown
not
Golden
Cuts-
Bears?
If you say Kutztown, people
I'm
know that
sorry.
you're an outsider. It's
I am an
Kutztown.
outsider. Kutztown.
Well, I'm trying to school you up so you don't sound like an outsider.
Yeah.
But yes, the Kutztown Golden Bears.
They're the Golden Bears.
Mama H went there for her master's.
We are in the middle of the salmon run, always enjoyed by bears, right?
Always
Bears
bears.
love eating salmon. They're spawning right now.
Yeah.
Happens every fall.
By the way, Mama H did undergrad at Kutztown, not her master's. Her master's was at Lehigh.
Okay.
So we're a very much PA college family. Continue.
Fair enough. And then that brings us to the Mercer Bears, who are about to beat the Auburn Tigers outright, baby. Get ready for it, Ty. You heard it here first.
If Mercer beats Auburn, that'd be something. That would definitely not bode well for DJ Durkin's campaign to be the next coach at Auburn.
No, not at all.
But maybe a look-ahead spot with the Iron Bowl on deck.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Get ready for it. Prepare yourself. That's all.
Wow. That'd be something. That would be the
Year of the
ultimate
bear.
snake in the toilet. Yeah. All right, we covered a lot of ground. An hour and like 40 strong here on the Week 13 preview episode. Please do tell your friends about the show. Please do hit follow or subscribe. If you made it an hour and 40 minutes into this drivel and you have yet to hit follow or subscribe, you owe it to yourself to hit follow or subscribe. You're one of us now, okay?
By the way, Ty, I just brought up the Chinese New Year. It's the year of the snake.
Is it?
It is.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
How perfect is that?
Go on out to verballers.com, sign up as a certified or premium member, play in our game, run the board, compete for that $150 Fanatics gift card. Dan, enjoy the game. Do stop by.
Yes.
Our altcast, we're doing it at 3:30. I think I set it for 3:15 Eastern time as the start time for the USC Oregon game. Of course, we've got our midnight live stream where we'll recap all of the action for that guy over there. My good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildebrand. Thank you as always. You know the drill. Stay solid.
Peace.